All right, delighted to be joined by Leinster head coach Leo Cullen. Another Heineken Champions Cup season is looming large, Leo, but we're very much into the unknown this season with the one-off layout of the format, obviously with a condensed season for COVID. It's the Heineken Champions Cup, but not really as we know it.
Yeah, it's I think if you ask the number of our squads, I wouldn't say they're fully clear as to the dynamics of the pool. And for us, maybe that's not a bad thing. So I think it's important we just need to focus on the two teams that we do play, because there's lots of these other permutations kind of rattling around the background of who's playing who and who's in our pool. Obviously, there's 12 teams in each pool. So I think it's quite an exciting format. It takes a little bit to get your head around, which is perhaps no harm as well. But yeah, with the season that we have, we every team out there is talking about adaptability and all these words, and we just need to be able to make sure that we are clear that we need what we need to control. Obviously, which is our first up game against Montpellier away, which is going to be a huge challenge for us, and then we'll turn it around and try and get ourselves ready for Northampton the following week. But with the amount of internationals during this period, it'll be a challenge for our guys, and it's important we try to get our head around that first and foremost, which is integrating our group back together, so we're on the same page as what we're trying to do and achieve as a team, and then try and implement a game plan to take on Montpellier first up. So yeah, it's lots of exciting action to look forward to, and the new format I think definitely adds a element of the unknown, which creates a bit of excitement for supporters and players alike. So yeah, we can't wait to get going. Clearly, we had a disappointing end to our campaign last season, which doesn't seem like a long time ago now. Losing that game at home in the Aviva to Saracens was hugely upsetting and disappointing for lots of different reasons.
Yeah, I presume you're going to be hoping everyone comes back from the Irish camp unscathed, but can I just talk about some of the guys that didn't get to be involved in the Irish games over the last few weeks, specifically Gary Ringrose and Tyg Furlong? How are they progressing? Do you think they'll be available?
Yeah, they will hopefully at some point. Exactly what point I'm not sure yet. Gary's making good progress, so he'll be tight to be involved for round one. Certainly if not round one, hopefully round two. Tyg, we'll see where he goes because he's had a couple of setbacks along the way. We're always a bit more cautious with guys in terms of their return. So yeah, he's progressing well, and he's not a million miles away. Whether that's for round one or two, we'll see. It's been week by week at the moment. So, but yeah, he's going okay. He's training away here, Tyg. So just making sure it's as safe as possible, so he's not breaking down again. So that's the most important bit for us.
Yeah, I imagine he's a very frustrated man at the moment. Like you're talking between the lockdown when rugby was suspended, and then picking up the back injury, and then into the setback as well. Like you're more than 9 months now since he's been able to step out onto the pitch. Like it's the time bracket that you would associate with something like a cruciate ligament injury or a real career-threatening serious injury.
I know. Well, that's the main thing. At least it's not something that is in that bracket of injuries. So, he was fit and ready to play in one of the weeks in the early games. Had a minor setback and had a setback since then again. So that's what's delayed his return. But like as it said, like it's not a significant injury we hope for Tyg, and hopefully be back. And once he gets back, then he gets into a bit of rhythm and playing, and this period will all be forgotten about, hopefully. But that's just part and parcel of being a professional sports person. Particularly rugby, the game that we're involved in. I think most players will go through if you have a 10, 12 year career, you're going to go through a period where you're out for 6 or 9 months for whatever reason, just due to the nature of the game and some of the injuries that players pick up along the way.
You mentioned like part and parcel of the game, like, and the frustrations that go with it. Like, I don't know, I think it kind of possibly links to the situation going on at the moment. I know Niall Woods was speaking to the Irish Times about the frustrations players have been having, and I imagine it's the frustrations like yourself and clubs have been having as well about not being able to have the contract negotiations with players. And Tyg Furlong is one of those whose contract is up in the summer. Johnny Sexton and Cian Healy, along with your are among those in Leinster as well. How frustrating at the moment?
Yes and no. Like, yeah, of course, there's a bit of frustration because there's uncertainty about the future, but we also feel very privileged the fact that we're actually able to get out and play the game and come into work, which a lot of people don't have that privilege at the moment. So, that's an agent. It sounds like an agent. Sounds like he's obviously putting his spoke out there. For us, we feel very fortunate. Like, I'm someone who's out of contract as well at the end of the season. Like a lot of players and coaches, so that just comes with the territory. The flip side of that is we feel very fortunate that we're able to do what we do as well. So, and we're just getting on with things at the moment, and we all understand the reasons for the, I guess, lack of certainty about trying to push forward with the future because it's so uncertain at the moment. Hopefully we get to the point over the next few weeks and months where we start to get some crowds back. You've seen it in other sports and in other countries. So, but making sure that that's as safe as possible as well. So there's a kind of lots of optimism, I think, out there at the moment with talks of vaccines and whatever else. But for us, we just need to kind of make sure the environment is safe as possible. Nothing has changed drastically, even with the country in terms of some of the levels of lockdowns being eased. We've been able to go about doing our business as I've touched on already over the last number of weeks, even though we've been in a level 5 lockdown. So we feel very fortunate in that regard. As things start to ease over Christmas, and making sure that we need to make sure that we remain tight. Because you've seen it with teams, we've a game had just been called off the weekend with Scarlets. Other teams have had games called off. Some of the international teams have been called off. So we need to understand like the threats that are still out there. So making sure that we do continue to do the right thing, and huge credit to our players because for the most part they've done the right thing, and we've been able to get our games played. The one exception is obviously our game being called off against Scarlets, but whatever has happened over there, I don't know exactly the ins and outs of that. But for us, we need to make sure that we do the right thing. And as we start into our European campaign, that we want to get the games played, and then we're relying on ourselves to get the positive results rather than relying on somebody else, because that's not a situation that we want.
And just one more on the contract situation, like, do you have any fear that the frustrations and the uncertainty could actually start to affect players on the pitch?
Yeah, but that's the way it is every season. Just due to the nature of the contracting cycle, there's the guts of half your squad are out of contracts every year. That's generally the way it becomes between players and the club. Like, more often as players don't want to sign for a longer term than a couple of years. So it's rare enough that you get long-term contracts. So in theory, you have 50% of your squad out of contracts every season anyway. So it hasn't changed drastically. It's just maybe things have been shifted by a couple of months. So everyone's got to get on control what they can control, and for players and coaches, it's preparing and training the team, and obviously from an individual point of view, doing your bits to get yourself in the best possible shape to be able to perform at the weekend. And you do those things well, then values and things become a lot clearer then for what everyone wants to do.
And just on the competition format itself, then on the competition format, we spoke at the start about how there's uncertainty over kind of like how this is going to play out and how things are going to look maybe in the latter stages of the competition. Do you think there could be a shift in terms of the way teams are attacking, that teams are going for more tries? Because you would imagine like try scoring bonus points are going to be huge over the few weeks. Do you think we're going to see teams maybe turning down easy 3-pointers and going towards touch, going to scrum down?
I think there's going to be all sorts of things. When you're in a pool of 12 teams and 4 are qualifying, straight away, without trying to get too far ahead, we're starting with away games, so it's important that we, go about trying to make sure we manage the occasion of a team playing at home, and whatever sort of crowd is going to be in France. I don't know yet, so it won't be a packed house, you'd imagine. Some of our guys have had the opportunity to play in Montpellier in the past. So, but yeah, it's making sure we still got to try and get as much as you can from the away games. If you sneak a win away and then try and turn it around for the following week at home, and try to maximise every point. And yeah, there's going to be points within the game, or times within the game where you go, right, well, we want to go for a bonus point because of, we've seen some of the other teams in the pool and maybe they've had a bonus point or whatever that is. So trying to stay within that top 4 of the 12 teams in your pool, and get as high up the food chain as possible. But then you're trying to work out all the permutations of the other pool then as well. So you can't get too clever. You just got to go and play the game that's out there in front of you, and manage whatever situation you are within the game as well. So sometimes, as we've seen in the past, the losing bonus point turns out to be a good result away from home, and then you get back home and try and maximise whatever points are available then as well. So yeah, I'm sure as it unfolds there'll be lots of different permutations. So ultimately, what does that mean? For us away from home, first it's trying to put out a performance first and foremost, where we get all the international guys back, and we have a good cohesive training week where we're trying to build against that level of cohesion will hopefully lead to a positive performance for us in the game.
Yeah, I think from our own point of view here, I'm already dreading doing those permutations on the final round. They're tough enough when it's 6 rounds of games, but I think in a 4-round format, it's going to be even tougher. Leo Cullen, thanks a million for joining us on OTB, and very best of luck with the campaign.
Thanks, Neil. Yeah, cheers.